Now a look at marine sport and alternative business practices with Nationwide.
And on this evening's Nationwide, Leading the Way, 10 years of nurturing community and business growth. Fighting for life, a County Cavan girl's wait for a lung transplant. And ballooning, more than a lot of hot air. Now there are a few more graceful sights than that of a hot air balloon floating through the heavens. It looks so graceful, peaceful, and you might think simple, but there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, and just how much more Dermot Peavoy discovered when he spent a day in County Meath with a hot air balloon pilot, very much in love with his sport.
On a fine summer evening, a four-wheel drive and trailer make their way through a well-chosen field in County Meath. The field is free of trees and pylons, and the wind is blowing from here in the right direction. All very important considerations because the trailer contains a hot air balloon to be launched from here within the hour.
Here we've got lovely clear blue skies, just a bit of cumulus clouds around, so it's very, very favourable for ballooning. You're flying the hot air balloon, it's not flying you. So you're going in the wind direction, but remember, this is all pre-knowledge. We know all this before we took the balloon to this launch site. So we know that we're not going to fly over big rivers, fly over big forests. We're not just picking any launch site, we're picking this launch site, knowing very carefully the wind speed and the wind direction. So we're just going to take our time rigging the balloon, and all the time the air is cooling. So when it comes to launch at about maybe 2000 hours, that's 8 p.m. this evening, hopefully the air will be nice and cool and the balloon will be under our full control for the whole flight.
The preparations for the flight began yesterday evening at Aidan Murphy's home in Dunshaughlin with a good look at the weather charts on his computer screen.
There's a saying, you won't decide when to fly, the weather will decide for you, which is very apt, especially in Ireland. Hot air balloons by nature fly in the summertime, in the early morning and in the late evening. You can't fly a hot air balloon during the daytime because of the unstable weather conditions. The air is basically too warm, and it ends up that the hot air balloon ends up flying you. You stop flying it if you like.
And you wouldn't want to take off, I suppose, as the weather conditions are not right?
No, well, you see, you can run into a situation where you could have weather conditions ideal for takeoff, but they'll deteriorate before you land. Right. And as we always say, takeoffs are optional, landings are mandatory. I'd rather be down here wishing I was up there than up there wishing I was down here. So it's all about pre-planning and pre-planning and pre-planning, and eventually you get it right.
This year's Hot Air Balloon Championship, held in County Meath, attracted 47 balloonists. Most of these came from overseas, as there are only 13 hot air balloons registered in Ireland, 3 in the north and 10 in the south, including that of Meath man Aidan Murphy. Aidan took his first balloon flight 8 years ago and bought his very own balloon this year. The hobby has become a passion. His home has balloon images galore, as well as maps for flight planning.
A hot air balloon is a registered aircraft, so you basically have the same criteria to follow as any other aircraft in the sky. What we have here are 4 Ordnance Survey maps which cover the area of where we fly, or in around Dunshaughlin, Cavan, some of Meath and some of West Meath. The actual maps themselves show, here we have the airways, which tells us where we can fly, how high we can fly, without interfering with air traffic controlled airspace.
The maps also have another purpose. The red dots mark local stud farms. Coming from a horsey background, Aidan makes sure he has a clearance of 1,500 feet over these so as not to frighten the animals. Aidan takes the technical aspects of his flying very seriously. In order to pilot his own balloon, he obtained a balloon pilot's license through visits over a couple of years to a balloon flying school based in Spain.
QRZ, this is EI5HW, Echo India 5 Hotel Whiskey. EI5HW calling and listing through EI2DRG.
Aidan came to ballooning through his interest in ham radio. He took his first balloon flight 8 years ago along with his ham radio in order to get his aerial as high as possible so that his signal would go further.
Height is power with any radio transmission, and obviously in the hot air balloon you're operating from an open wicker basket in Mother Nature, and at 1,000 feet in the air you're going to get a lot of contacts with other radio hams down on the ground, and them contacts in turn would be over the moon, if you like, working a radio ham, aeronautic mobile as we call it, in a hot air balloon. Like if a person says to me, oh, you're only signal 3 and we can't really make out your modulation or your audio, I'd say, well, bear with me 1 second, I'll just raise the aerial 1,000 feet and up we go again. pull on the burners and off you go, and all of a sudden you say, oh, you're booming into us, we can get you 5 and 9 plus. If you told me, or even mentioned to me 15 years ago that I'd fly hot air balloon, I'd say you're off your rocker, because I'm actually scared of heights, believe it or not. The burners are the same strength and energy as 800 gas cookers all wired together. The fuel consumption is equivalent to 1 camping gas cylinder every half a second. So that's the power we're dealing with. But remember, we're going to heat 77,000 cubic feet of air, so we're going to need that flame to lift that envelope and to lift us as passengers as well.
Aidan believes that good PR is a very important part of ballooning. After all, they need to take off and to land in other people's fields. In everyday life, Aidan is an internet website designer. So, not surprisingly, he's created a website for his own balloon to promote the sport and for good PR.
The balloonteam.net website, it's all about our balloon and the adventures we have with it. Obviously our first picture we're going to have on it is of the actual balloon itself. We can see one of our last flights was August the 5th, and we took off from a friend's field. The Dunn family own a farm down there, and we took off and flew over their domain, and as it happens we actually flew over the landowner's house and promptly took a photograph of it and gave a copy of it to the landowner. Again, it's good PR. This is Puffin. We're just heading on track for King John's Castle, over. You're just getting a feel for the burner, a feel for the whole aircraft, and you're basically burning to ascend, and you're letting it cool to descend, or you're going to